Women don't reject men the way men think they do. They don't sit you down. They don't explain. They don't give you closure. They pull away quietly while you're still texting, still showing up, still believing you're in progress. The energy gets colder. The replies get shorter. And without realizing it, you're no longer being chosen. You're being kept. Most men don't lose a woman because they did something wrong. They lose her because they never noticed the exact moment her interest died, and by the time they feel it, it's already over. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Women give away their level of interest almost instantly. Not with words, but with behavior. If you don't know how to read it, you end up investing where respect is already gone. If you do, you stop wasting emotional energy and take your power back. Women aren't confusing. They're consistent. What confuses men is that they keep listening to words instead of watching patterns. In this video, I'm breaking down 5 instant signs that reveal when a woman isn't interested, so you're never left guessing where you stand. Each one shows you exactly how she's positioning you in her mind. If this kind of clarity matters to you, like the video and subscribe. This channel is for men who want to understand women without losing themselves. And it starts by seeing what's right in front of you. Most men grow up believing one simple rule. If a woman isn't interested, she'll say it. She'll be honest, direct, clear. That belief is comforting and completely wrong. Women rarely reject men with words. They reject them with behavior, quietly, gradually, without ever announcing it. And this is where so many men lose power without realizing it, because they keep waiting for a verbal answer that is never coming. Here's the part no one prepares you for. Saying no costs women something. It creates tension. It invites confrontation. It risks backlash. So instead of closing a door outright, most women leave it slightly open. Not because they want you, but because keeping options costs them nothing. They avoid the word no to preserve choice. They soften their disinterest to avoid conflict. And they allow just enough attention to keep validation flowing. From the outside, it looks confusing. From the inside, it's very consistent. This is why men stay longer than they should. They keep explaining, keep adjusting, keep giving more, thinking effort will turn ambiguity into desire. But attraction doesn't grow from negotiation. It fades when a man ignores what's already being shown. Behavior is the truth language here, always has been. When interest is present, it shows up naturally, through attention, warmth, investment, and ease. When interest is gone, it doesn't disappear loudly. It withdraws in small, deniable ways. And the man who understands this doesn't argue with reality. He reads it early. Power doesn't come from forcing clarity out of someone who benefits from staying vague. Power comes from recognizing patterns before emotional investment turns into emotional debt. The strongest men aren't waiting to be chosen. They're observing whether a woman is choosing them at all. Once you stop expecting honesty in words, you start seeing honesty everywhere else. In how she looks at you, in how she responds, in how she prioritizes, or doesn't. And when you learn to trust behavior over hope, you stop chasing explanations. You stop performing for approval. You stop offering effort where interest has already expired. That shift alone changes everything because now you're no longer reacting. You're reading the situation as it is and deciding accordingly. And that brings us to the first place women reveal the truth long before they ever say it out loud. Number 1, her eyes are already leaving. Before a woman pulls away with words, she pulls away with attention. And attention always shows up in the eyes first. When a woman is genuinely interested, her focus settles. Her gaze stays with you. Not because she's trying to be polite, but because nothing else in the room feels more relevant than the man in front of her. But when interest drops, her eyes stop landing and start scanning. She looks past you instead of at you, over your shoulder, toward the door, toward movement, toward possibilities. Her attention fractures, and it's not subtle once you know what you're looking for. The eyes don't linger. They dart. They disengage. They move like she's already somewhere else mentally, because she is. Men often misread this. They assume distraction means nerves, shyness, or boredom that can be fixed with better conversation. So they talk more, they explain more, they try harder, and that's the mistake. A woman doesn't look away when she's deciding how to connect with you. She looks away when she's deciding what else might be better. You'll see it everywhere once you stop ignoring it. At a bar, she keeps glancing around every time someone walks in. At a coffee shop, her phone comes out mid-conversation, not because it rang, but because her interest did. In texting, she leaves your message unread while staying active everywhere else. That's not busyness. That's priority. Here's the part most men don't want to accept. Women look at what they're still considering. When she's interested, her eyes naturally come back to you. When they don't, it's because she's already evaluating other options, and the more you push when her eyes are elsewhere, the lower your value drops. Attention can't be negotiated. It responds to presence, not pressure. The strongest move in this moment isn't to compete harder. It's to notice faster. When you pull your energy back instead of chasing her attention, something shifts. You stop feeding an interaction that's already losing momentum. You stop auditioning. And suddenly, the dynamic changes. Not because you demanded anything, but because you removed what was being taken for granted. A man who doesn't chase wandering eyes becomes the man whose presence is felt when he's no longer trying to be seen. And that's when interest either recalibrates or disappears completely. Either way, you win by not lying to yourself. Number 2, her voice loses emotional color. A woman's voice will always tell you how she feels before her words ever do. You can hear attraction. You can hear curiosity. And you can hear when interest has quietly drained out of the interaction. When a woman is into you, her voice carries movement. It rises and falls. It speeds up. It softens. There's warmth in it. An unforced liveliness that doesn't need effort. That's dopamine at work. Interest stimulates energy, and energy changes tone. But when that interest fades, the voice flattens. Responses get shorter. The pace slows. The tone turns neutral, almost mechanical. Not angry, not emotional, just empty. And this is where men misinterpret what's happening. They tell themselves she's tired, stressed, busy, having a long week. Anything except the truth. But listen carefully to the contrast. She sounds animated with her friends, engaged on the phone, alive when talking about something that excites her. Then she turns to you, and suddenly the color disappears. Same woman, same day, different energy. That's not exhaustion. That's selective disengagement. Texting works the same way. When interest is there, messages carry rhythm. Emojis appear naturally. Words stretch. Replies feel present. When interest drops, communication gets stripped down to the bare minimum. One-word answers. Delays without explanation. Conversations that feel like obligations instead of exchanges. And the worst thing a man can do here is overcompensate. He starts adding more enthusiasm to fill the gap. He becomes more expressive to balance her flatness. He tries to revive something that's already losing oxygen. But attraction doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to polarity. When one side drains, the other side leaning in only accelerates the imbalance. Silence, restraint, and emotional self-control do more than excitement ever could in this moment. When you stop rewarding low energy with high effort, you change the dynamic. You communicate, without saying a word, that you're not here to carry an interaction alone, and that either forces her interest to reappear or it reveals that it's already gone. Both outcomes save you time. Both protect your position. A man who doesn't chase emotional scraps becomes the man whose presence is felt when he withdraws it. And that quiet shift sets the stage for something most men never see coming. The moment when her tone doesn't just flatten, but starts placing you beneath her. There is a very specific moment where everything quietly shifts, and most men miss it completely. It's not when she leaves. It's not when she ghosts. It's not when she says she's confused. It's the moment you start giving more to compensate for what she stopped giving. You feel the change before you understand it. The warmth is gone. The ease is gone. And instead of stepping back, you lean in. You explain more. You soften your boundaries. You try to be more understanding, more patient, more accommodating, hoping that effort will restore what disappeared. That's the pivot. That's where power leaks out. Men are taught that persistence equals strength. But in attraction, persistence in the face of withdrawal reads as insecurity. The more you explain yourself, the more you negotiate for connection, the more you reveal that you're invested in an outcome she's already drifting away from. And right here, without a single argument, your position changes. Number 3. Her tone starts placing you beneath her. Tone isn't just sound, it's hierarchy. When a woman respects you, her tone carries openness, curiosity, softness. There's space for you in it. But when she no longer fears losing you, that tone sharpens. She interrupts you. She sounds impatient. She responds with clipped answers. She sighs. She rushes you. Nothing overt, nothing dramatic, just enough edge to test whether you'll accept being spoken to differently. And most men do. They brush it off. They rationalize it. They tell themselves she's just stressed. But what she's actually doing is recalibrating the dynamic, seeing how much distance she can create without you pushing back. Here's the part that stings. Women don't lower their tone with men they value. They lower it with men they believe will stay anyway. Watch the contrast. Notice how she speaks to someone she wants to impress. Then notice how she speaks to you. That difference is information. And it's more honest than anything she'll ever say. The mistake men make here is continuing to invest while their status is being quietly downgraded. They reward dismissiveness with patience, disrespect with understanding. And every time they do, the imbalance locks in deeper. Respect doesn't come from demanding better treatment. It comes from refusing to participate when the standard drops. Silence does more than arguments ever could. Pulling back does more than pleading. Calm withdrawal communicates something words never will. This version of you doesn't get access to me. And that's the moment the dynamic either corrects itself or ends. So ask yourself honestly, why are you still investing where respect is already gone? Number 4. Her body is closing, even if her mouth isn't. A woman can say the right things and still be telling you no. Her body will always be more honest than her words, because it doesn't negotiate, it reacts. When interest is present, the body opens naturally. When it's gone, the body pulls away before the mind ever explains why. This is instinctive, not calculated, and that's why it's so reliable. When a woman is drawn to you, her body orients toward you without effort. Her shoulders face you. Her torso leans in. Her feet point in your direction. There's ease in how she occupies space around you. She isn't guarding herself. She's available. When that changes, everything subtly shifts. Her arms cross. Her legs angle away. She leans back instead of forward. She creates small barriers, holding a drink between you, adjusting her bag, turning slightly toward the room instead of toward you. None of it is dramatic, but all of it is deliberate on a biological level. Men often ignore these signals because her words haven't changed yet. She's still being polite, still saying yeah, or sure, or maybe. And that politeness keeps men leaning in when they should be stepping back. But here's the truth most men miss. Women can say yes out of courtesy. Their bodies never do. Watch how this plays out. On a date, the first half feels open. Conversation flows. She leans closer. Then something shifts. The chair moves back an inch. Her posture closes. She stops mirroring your movements. That's not random. That's withdrawal. In group settings, it's even clearer. Instead of angling toward you, she angles toward her friends. She leans into them, not you. Physical proximity follows interest. Distance follows disengagement. Even in texting, this shows up. Responses stall. Plans become vague. Maybe replaces specifics. That's physical distance translated into behavior. The same closing, just expressed digitally. The mistake men make here is pressing forward. They move closer when she moves back. They increase effort when her body is signaling retreat. And every step forward she didn't invite lowers perceived value. Attraction breathes through space. When you ignore her need for distance, you smother what little interest might still exist. The man who notices this early doesn't argue with it. He mirrors the distance. He relaxes back. He stops pushing. And that simple restraint does something powerful. It forces honesty into the dynamic. Because when you stop advancing on someone who's retreating, their interest either returns or reveals that it was already gone. Both outcomes protect you. Number 5. Zero investment is the loudest rejection. This is the strongest sign of all because it removes all ambiguity. When a woman is interested, she invests. She asks questions. She adds energy. She participates. Interest naturally creates effort. When that effort disappears, the message is already clear. And yet, this is the sign men resist accepting the most. Instead of effort, you start getting placeholders. Short replies, delayed responses, conversations that never go anywhere. She answers, but she doesn't engage. She reacts, but she doesn't initiate. You carry the interaction while she simply receives it. This isn't confusion, it's positioning. Modern dating calls it breadcrumbing, giving just enough attention to keep you present, but never enough to move forward. From a power perspective, it's simple. She's keeping you warm while she waits to see if something better shows up. Look at how it plays out. You ask questions. She answers without asking anything back. You suggest plans. She says, maybe, we'll see, or I'll let you know. Specifics disappear. Commitment is postponed. Momentum dies slowly, but deliberately. And the most revealing part? She's not absent. She's active. Just not with you. She's online. She's posting. She's engaging elsewhere. So when men say, she's just busy, what they're really doing is protecting themselves from the truth. Because admitting she's choosing not to invest is uncomfortable. Here's the insight most men never hear. Attention that costs nothing has no value. When you continue giving time, validation, and emotional energy to someone who isn't matching it, you teach her exactly how little effort is required to keep you. You lower your own price by offering yourself at a discount. Women don't respect access that doesn't have conditions, and they don't fear losing what never asks for investment in return. The shift happens when you stop filling the silence, when you end conversations instead of dragging them, when you stop chasing clarity from someone benefiting from your uncertainty. Not as punishment, but as self-respect. A man who requires mutual investment doesn't need to announce it. He demonstrates it by what he no longer gives away freely. And here's the part that changes everything. Most men are afraid to pull back because they think it guarantees loss. But the truth is, staying when there's no investment guarantees something worse. You stay visible, available, and easily replaceable. When you step back, one of two things happens. She steps forward, or she disappears. Both outcomes tell you exactly where you stand, and both save you from continuing to invest in a position you were never meant to hold. There's a reason some men never get breadcrumbed, never get kept warm, never get slowly faded out. It's not because they're louder, smoother, or more aggressive. It's because they move through relationships with a different internal posture. They don't chase interest. They screen for it. When you look at the 5 signs together, a pattern becomes impossible to ignore. The eyes wandering, the voice going flat, the tone turning sharp, the body pulling away, the effort disappearing. None of these are random. They're all responses to one thing: how available you are without requiring anything in return. Women don't test men they fear losing. They test men they believe will stay, no matter how little they give. And this is where everything locks in. The man women respect doesn't demand clarity. He doesn't ask for reassurance. He doesn't argue with mixed signals. He pays attention once and adjusts accordingly, not emotionally, strategically. He doesn't over-explain himself when energy drops. He doesn't negotiate when tone shifts. He doesn't lean in when interest pulls away. Instead, he withdraws access. That doesn't mean he becomes cold or resentful. It means he has standards. It means his time, attention, and emotional presence aren't free samples. They're given in response to reciprocity, not hope. This is the shift from tactics to identity. When you stop asking women to choose you and start observing whether they already are, your entire experience changes. You're no longer reacting to signals. You're filtering for alignment, and women feel that immediately. Because the rarest thing in dating isn't confidence, it's selectiveness. A man who can walk away from low interest without drama becomes the man whose presence carries weight. Not because he's playing games, but because he's no longer playing himself. And once that identity settles in, you don't need to memorize signs anymore. You recognize the pattern early. You respond calmly, and you never find yourself wondering why you keep ending up in the same position. Women don't walk away from men suddenly. They leave quietly, long before the goodbye ever happens. By the time most men realize something is wrong, the decision has already been made. Not in words, but in behavior. Interest didn't vanish overnight. It withdrew in pieces. Attention faded. Tone shifted. Effort disappeared. And the men who get hurt the most are the ones who kept investing, hoping things would go back to how they were. This is the real divide. On one side is the man who keeps giving, keeps adjusting, keeps waiting, until he's drained and confused. On the other is the man who notices early, responds calmly, and refuses to stay where he isn't valued. The difference isn't confidence. It isn't looks. It isn't luck. It's awareness and the willingness to act on it. If you've ever felt like you were doing everything right and still not being chosen, this is why. You weren't failing. You were staying too long after the signs were already there. And the moment you stop doing that, everything changes. Because when you no longer chase interest, you stop rewarding indifference. When you stop rewarding indifference, respect either shows up or the situation removes itself. Both outcomes protect you. If this perspective resonates, subscribe to the channel. This space is for men who want clarity instead of confusion, strength instead of self-betrayal, and standards instead of hope. And if you've recognized one of these signs in your own life, leave a comment. Awareness starts with honesty. Share this with the man who keeps asking himself, why does this keep happening to me? Now you know the answer.